has been known for having a rich history concerning the mafia, but what many may not know, even those watching this video from Rhode Island, is that some of the most dangerous mobsters once based themselves here. If you're watching from classical high school, you may be shocked to learn that this happened less than a mile away from where you are right now. The mafia, also known by Italians as La Cosa Nostra, involved itself in several illegal activities, and one of the most notorious families was based primarily in Providence. That family was known as the Patriarca crime family, which would remain in control of the mafia in New England for 3 decades plus. The Patriarca crime family was founded by Gaspare Messina, who migrated from Sicily, Italy. And during their reign, they went through many different historical phases, like the Gilded Age, and in later eras, government interference and the FBI. Gaspare Messina was the boss. He started in Boston in 1931, but would be succeeded by Philip Bucola. But in 1950, someone else would go on to take control of criminal operations. Bucola fled the country to avoid criminal charges, and this man would go on to be infamous in Rhode Island. Sometimes I hear stories about him from my mother when we pass through Federal Hill. Federal Hill is the most Italian area in Providence, with it being called Little Italy. Patriarca's business was at the National Cigarette Service, a tobacco vending machine company located in the Federal Hill area, and it was later called Coinomatic. This store would work to launder money and make dirty money clean from Patriarca's several crimes. But growing up, my mother would tell me the opposite about Patriarca. She said he protected the women in the area from sexual assault and would punish rapists and child predators. My friend's grandfather has also said something similar. He believes that the streets were safer during Patriarca's reign, and that he wasn't a typical mafia member. The idea is shared by multiple people as well. I asked my French teacher, Mr. Hubert, and when I asked, he said it was ironic that although organized crime syndicates' main operations are committing crimes, they managed to keep things in order. That shows that although Patriarca was a mafia boss famed for crimes like trafficking and murder, he had a unique commitment to keeping Providence safe from different crimes. That, in itself, is unique to Patriarca. That is what makes him different from other mafia bosses. Patriarca was raised in Providence, and he became deeply embedded in its criminal landscape. By the 1930s, the city's Board of Public Safety had already labeled him Public Enemy Number 1. He was a convicted pimp and armed robber by his 20s, but it was during the Prohibition era that he refined the skills that would make him so powerful, like his capacity for secrecy and control. A 1954 FBI report described him as the most outstanding gangster in Rhode Island, and identified him as a prominent figure in a suspected national crime syndicate. Throughout the 1960s, the FBI targeted him aggressively. He was heavily involved with the Kennedy administration and found himself getting wiretapped by them. And in 1970, the FBI finally succeeded. Patriarca was convicted of murder and conspiracy to commit murder. It wasn't the first time he was convicted. Even in failing health, he suffered from both heart disease and diabetes, but his legacy managed to endure. He died of a heart attack on July 11th, 1984 at age 76, and he was buried in Gate of Heaven Cemetery in East Providence. Despite dying, Patriarca's name still resonates throughout Rhode Island, especially in personal accounts, like in The Dr. Broad, a Mafia Love Story. Barbara Roberts recalls the challenges that she faced caring for the elderly crime boss. She says, "It was my testimony that he was too sick to stand trial that kept him out of prison for the last 3.5 years of his life. That caused me all kinds of trouble with the newspaper in Rhode Island, the Providence Journal, with the FBI, the state police, the Providence police, and there were doctors who stopped referring me patients because I was taking care of this infamous mobster." That shows the backlash that she faced from the media, law enforcement, even doctors, possible clients. Barbara is alive today. In fact, my group member working on this project with me, Ida Cronin, knows this woman through her grandparents. showing that the mafia ties in Rhode Island are much more local than you may know. Barbara Roberts would go on to be deeply intertwined with mafia affairs, and she would have an affair with the number 3 ranked man in the New England Mafia. He would become the first boss from Providence since Patriarca to assume leadership.
Appreciate that.
Well, tonight we're doing a report called Who's the Boss? 5 bosses since 1950. As you point out, Raymond L.S. Patriarca was the start. Then his son, Junior Patriarca, took over. After that, just for a short reign before he passed away, was Nicholas Nicky Bianco, then Cadillac Frank Salemi after that, and then Louis Minocchio. So
his name was Louis Baby Shanks Minocchio, often referred to as Luigi. He died in 2024, and most of the succeeding mafia bosses are now in Boston. But, as of recent, the Foxy Lady, which is a mafia strip club, there have been investigations to confirm the continuing activity of the Providence faction despite its severe downsizing. And one more member, a mafia member that I've personally met, known as Poochie, runs this establishment and was charged in 2016 for prostitution. The Foxy Lady has always attracted traditional organized crime for decades, said Steve O'Donnell, a retired state police colonel and longtime mob investigator. He says it's been seen through various prosecutions and the court record. The truth is that the Patriarca crime family has left a lasting mark on Rhode Island. While their legacy is rooted in violence and fear, their influence also exposes the blurred lines between power and morality. The communities of Rhode Island today still face the impacts of this family, including the lasting Italian culture on Federal Hill.